Today we're in Hanoi, Vietnam, and we had an interesting encounter today. So since arriving in Vietnam, Gage and I have had this daily ritual where we just go down to the river, get some sun, have a little bit of exercise. Gage has been playing hacky sack. And today we went down there and there was this Vietnamese man, he told us he was around 49 years old, who came up, spoke very little English, but started playing hacky sack with Gage. I went to go run. I come back and they're hugging, and the man is asking us over to his apartment, right then and there. We decide to go with him. When we arrive, his wife is in the home and she invites us in as well. He tells us that he has this very special alcohol that his father gave him, and this was originally from this Chinese government official. And because we're friends now, and he never invites foreigners over, but he really likes us, he wants us to have this alcohol. So he pours us some glasses. These are maybe half the size of shot glasses, and he offers us some lunch. The alcohol was stored in this very large vase that had this interesting root throughout the entire vase, and the alcohol was around it. We hadn't had anything quite like it, but it was very smooth and tasted very flavorful. Now, both this man and his wife were very hospitable. We did notice that the husband was talking about money a lot. He was telling us about his expensive car and how much money he had and what properties he owned. This might have just been a cultural difference, but we kept asking questions about him and his family, and he would always come back to how much money he made. We thought that was a little weird, but we were okay, overall, he's a really nice guy. So he actually ended up inviting us to dinner. He and his wife owned a restaurant in town, and he invited us that day to come by the restaurant to feed us. And so we agreed. We showed up on time, and his wife was inside the restaurant. She didn't speak any English, but she was very friendly, made us feel at home, but her husband was nowhere to be found. We can tell that his wife is getting a little bit anxious. She comes outside, looks around, and then just starts booking it toward her apartment, which is a few blocks away. Maybe 10 minutes later, we see her husband strolling back. He's all cleaned up, has a nice scarf, and she's trailing behind him. We don't get any explanation as to what happened, but they sit down with us. We eat some food. Then things start to get a little bit weird. We had complimented his wife about something, and instead of saying, "Oh, thank you," or "I agree," he instead was no, she's very old," and basically started just ragging on his wife, which we did not like. Then he asked us about what we did for a living, and we told him, and it was very clear he had some sexist views about work and women. Gage went to the bathroom not too long after this, and instead of staying and talking with me, he decides to leave the table. After Gage came back, this man's daughter strolled by. She was apparently just getting off of work. And all we knew about her was that she works for an airline. Gage asks him if she was a pilot, and he basically scoffs at him, at the idea that a woman could be a pilot. And at this point, I'm really not having a good time. I don't hate the guy, I'm just not enjoying myself. So after that, we pay our bill, we thank them for their hospitality. The husband keeps saying things like he wants to hang out again, and I'm thinking, how do I say no without being a jerk? He basically left the ball in our court to call him by giving us his number, and we just didn't call him again. But it was a very exciting experience. Not everyone we meet is going to be a forever friend. Overall, though, we have met some really wonderful people here. Gage made friends with this little 12-year-old boy who was working as a waiter in a vegan restaurant that Gage would go to every day for lunch. Before we left, we exchanged Instagram handles with him, and Gage brought him some chocolate and they took photos together. Tomorrow, we're off to our next country, and we're going to be visiting Manila in the Philippines.